Okay, so before we begin our second panel, I would like to take a brief moment to again thank our sponsors who are listed on the screen, on the slide, hopefully, Ralph. And as Edwin said earlier, NAHREP Los Angeles could not bring you quality events like this without the support of our generous sponsors. Another of today's preferred sponsor is Bank of the West. So please help me welcome Delphine Pruitt.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Monica. When I was first approached to be a sponsor for this event, I could not reply quick enough to say yes. I really want to commend NAHREP LA chapter for having this conversation. It's a timely conversation. It's a topic that can also get a little feisty. I'm glad that NAHREP LA took this on board. One thing at Bank of the West that we pride ourselves on is that we try to find solutions to really have impact in local communities and with a focus on sustainable home ownership. So today, I'd just like to give my colleagues a little praise here. We have John Sousa back there by the Bank of the West table. And then we also have our newest branch manager for Culver City, Carmen Rodriguez, and she can say hey. So one thing that you will hear our CEO say each and every time you meet her or if she speaks is that we should look like the community we serve. And at Bank of the West, we're here to look like, and not only look like, but to impact those communities that we serve. So we thank you for allowing us to be a sponsor. We look forward to our continued success. I think the one thing about NAHREP Top 10 is the wealth building. As they talk about what's going on in local communities, home ownership, I think, is a key in building wealth and sustaining these communities. And thank you, and we look forward to the next event.
Thank you. So before we start our next panel, we'd like to ask everybody to please take a seat. We have a lot of chairs available for you guys. And also, as their speakers give us their valuable time, we'd like to be listening. So please, can we take a seat? And we're going to go ahead and start with our second panel. Edwin?
All right, guys, so let's take a seat. We're going to start our second panel. So thank you, Delphine, for that sponsor. Appreciate it, much support. Round of applause for her again. So now we're ready for our second panel. And this consists of realtors, developers, and investors. This is more on the business side of things. The first one was more of the community. So we wanted to now present the other side of things and see if there's any opportunities for realtors and investors or any future aspiring developers that are sitting in the crowd. So with that said, moderating the panel will be Fernando Vasquez. He's a council member of the city of Downey, where he has served since 2010. Fernando served as Downey mayor in 2013 and 2017. In addition to his many accomplishments as mayor, Fernando is a respected public policy speaker presenting at many forums and seminars. So please join me in welcoming Fernando at the stage.
Muy buenas tardes. How's everybody doing? Doing good. Oh, come on. You guys sound like you guys are already waiting for the coffee here. Let's try that one more time. I know there's a lot of realtors in the audience. You guys are full of energy. Try that one more time. How are you guys doing? Yes. Much better now, Rob. I know you guys could deliver on that. So we're really excited here this evening to to share with you a lot of insight on the development world. I was catching up with old friends here, with Maria, with Alfred, and my friends in Univision. I used to work for a developer in the real estate community, and I have fond memories working with this dynamic trio over here. All the fine work they do in the community. Alfred, I could think of no other better attorney in the land use world out there. For all you realtors that think of really bouncing ideas, Alfred's a highly, highly respected guy in the industry. And Maria, she's what I call a chingona, man. She knows how to bring it. Maria has been there, done that. You know, a girl that grew up in East LA, went out to Ivy League school on the East Coast, and really has a proven track record. So when you think of affordable housing policy and so on, you can't think of a better person than Maria, the person I turned to. And we actually had a chance to work in the past over the years doing our first joint venture mixed-use project in East LA right there on the Gold Line extension. So a lot of people told us we couldn't do it, and we definitely do it. So sí se pudo. So tonight, we're excited with this panel. I was NAHREP. I think of you guys who have fond work in our community. I've had a chance to follow you guys over the years in Downey and all the work you guys do in the Southeast. But this is downtown LA where all the action's going on. So tonight's first panel, I'd like to call up this young lady is a chief financial officer, has over 28 years of real estate sales experience as an owner, agent, and broker, having worked as a senior partner for Town and Country Properties at Keller Williams. Ms. Solis was the first Latina franchise owner of Keller Williams. Give it up for Keller Williams, please. As she's making her way up here, Ms. Solis' credentials also include contractor negotiations. She also includes real estate acquisitions, property listings, real property management, real estate appraisals, commercial and residential leasing services. Additionally, Marisa's business practices have been recognized by several governmental and business organizations, including top 250 Latino real estate agents certified of appreciation from the city of Los Angeles, soon Downey. Fifth annual Small Family Business Award from Delacu Industries and Highline Park Chamber of Commerce Recognition Award. The management team also affiliated with several well-known real estate associations, including the California Realtors Association of National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. Marisa Solis, you have quite the accolades, quite the credentials, so we're really looking forward to hear it. So give her another big round of applause, please.
Over on this side, because that chair, you can see if you have to sit there. Actually, don't do it.
My next speaker is somebody that I had a chance to meet over the years in Downey. He's actually spearheaded the firm's operation in real estate brokerage, construction, and development service across the Los Angeles and Orange County areas, and led the firm's development and construction team through all phases of real estate development activities, and reviewing land meet guidelines, securing entitlements, preliminary design, and regulatory approvals. This gentleman has delivered over 18-plus development projects, including multifamily, condominiums, townhomes, luxury single-family, commercial properties, expanded the firm's investor base by over 50% in the last 3 to 5 years, propelling the companies to manage over $40 million. Downey's very own, Pavan Maddi. Big round of applause, please. And always styling. Every time I see this guy, he's always styling, man. They got the fashion guru in the house. So, ladies, and he is single too, so in case you're inquiring. So the next speaker I'd like to come up is he's one of the leaders and founders of Altamira Realty and its various development entities, a real estate investment firm in 1995. This gentleman is a real estate developer and investor who has over 20 years of experience in Southern California residential real estate market. The investment firm is based out of Irvine, California. Company focused on business strategy, on concentrated specialized investments in real estate by specializing in particular regions and demographics, thereby accumulating a thorough understanding of investment environment, specializing in including acquisition, investment, disposition, relocation, property management, traditional housing, and residential multifamily 1 to 4 units. Give it up, please, for David Mirafati, please. Do we have mics up here for the speakers? They all have mics? Great. There it is. Okay, there it is. We were getting ready to issue an Amber Alert for the mics, so God forbid we don't have a mic up here with the panelists. Marisa, first question for you. One of the things you've been able to, over 3 decades already, you've seen a lot of changes in the real estate industry. As a CEO of NAHREP Homes, what's the mission and focus of your company?
Good afternoon. Our mission is to provide great quality homes to improve the life of people. And how we do that is by creating a great design, making sure everything works well in the houses, and giving the opportunity to the people that qualify. So we are focused in providing a great home every single time we do a project.
Great, thank you so much for that. Pavan, you've been now in development world. Obviously you have the MBA, you've been out to the East Coast and all that. What steps can realtors take to conduct preliminary due diligence on a development project? And what's the importance of due diligence?
Thank you very much. Well, every property, no matter what it is, you're going to have to conduct due diligence. And it's just a process of understanding what you can do, what you can build. I actually teach classes at Keller Williams right now on how to analyze deals. And one of the first steps I always tell people is to understand the property from end to end. In the development side, you need to understand what the development standards of the local regulatory agency is. For example, the city of Downey, you could actually go to the planning department, sit down, and actually have the planner give you what they want as in their requirements. That's really the first step. The second step, in my opinion, is understanding the market. Can the market absorb the type of development that the land is posed for development? And the third step is it financially feasible? You need to have every step of the way. That way, we as developers can truly understand that one, it's a great project. It's from the market-wise, it's highly feasible. From the finance standpoint, it's also feasible. It just makes it a lot easier for us to make a decision on an acquisition of land.
Thank you. Pavan said ever since he's been in Downey, he's been making Downey great again. So we're still words out.
I was going to say something, but okay.
David, we just talked about due diligence. How do you mitigate risk when you look at a deal?
What?
How do you mitigate risk when you look at a deal?
When we look at the deal, finally, first we look at the deal and find out what's the risk involved. To mitigate the risk, like Pavan said, you have to know from one end to end, does this property sustain this development? And what's the risk you have involved with?
So you look a lot of the investment, is a market there or not? Is there a demand for that market?
Exactly.
Earlier, the panelists talked about CEQA, and oftentimes CEQA and the EIR, one of the things that we did in Downey was, in our downtown Downey area, we passed a downtown specific plan and a master environmental impact report. So it really mitigates the risk for potential landowners because you already know what your environmental requirements are. But how challenging is it this day and age to mitigate CEQA environmental impact reports when you're looking at a site when it comes to due diligence?
For novice investors, they have to mitigate through the building and safety and find out what's involved in that and what's the risk involved, what they're taking. And beside the ROI, the cap rate, what's the rental amount that you collect for after you build the property. So you have to consider all that and mitigating your risk. That's how.
Thank you, good job. Marisa, so we're talking about environmental challenges and things of that nature. You're in the northeast side of LA.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a lot of homes there that are well over 50 years old.
Yes.
You get into the Mills Act. Could you explain a little bit about historic homes and Mills Act? And specifically what kind of unique opportunities are there in the northeast part of LA when it comes to historic homes? And then also, can you share a little about the Mills Act and historic challenges that go on when you're looking at a home?
There is a lot of historic homes, and the beauty of these homes is that you can restore them and have the character when they were built. In regards to the Mills Act, it's a credit you can get by restoring a historical home. And the opportunities, you asked me for the opportunities, right?
Yes.
The opportunities are, you're not going to find deals in the market right now, it's how do you make it? And it's either educating your clients, why should they buy this house towards another home? What is the value? And bringing a historic home to restore them. However, you also bring like the new kitchen, the new bathroom, new air conditioning. So all of these things, I think when a client see the value and you educate them, then they'll be more ready to make that purchase.
Maritza, if you had to pick 3 things that you get the most bang for your buck when you're looking at a home to invest in, whether it's the kitchen, whether it's the restrooms, the landscape, what would be the top 3 things that you would feel you get the most bang for your buck when you're looking to refurbish a home to sell?
Kitchen, bathrooms, and an open floor plan.
Kitchen, bathroom, and open floor plan. Great. To realtors, you hear that. The 3 top things that I see some heads nodding now in the audience.
Yeah.
For those of you who have done it, the 3 top things where you get the most return on your investment. Thank you for that question, Maritza. Pavan, financing. Obviously, there's many different areas of financing out there, right? There's the REITs, there's hedge funds, there's private equity, there's you could pull money together through friends or family. Financing is an important element of any real estate deal. As it relates to development projects, what are the different types of financing for residential or income properties in the market that you've used?
Can you repeat that question?
What type of different financing mechanisms are there in the market for that you have used in the past?
Typically, what most of us are used to are 2 parts. One is you as a home buyer. I'm just going to use a home buyer as an example. You put in a down payment, which is your equity. Second is debt, which is a bank loan that you actually get. 99% of the time, that's what most people see. But in development deals, there's multiple layers of financing. One, you have you as a sponsor put up your skin in the game, what they call 5, 10, 15%, whatever the amount is needed. You have your preferred equity, and then you probably have mezzanine financing, and then you have actual debt. Now, where do you get this type of money? As Fernando has pointed out, you could get it from hedge funds. You could get it from private equity groups. You could get it from REITs that are focused on development activities. But you need to understand where their focus is, so that way you could actually attract them to your project. Prime example is if I was working on a multifamily deal. I probably won't be going to a REIT to put up money for a development project. Only reason because most REITs are actually built off making cash flow from the beginning. It's rare that you will see a REIT that focus on development activities. Private equity might be a good option to actually to go after, but they do require what they call, they want to be superior in nature, right? So they want some type of preferred return, what they call, just like a bank loan that don't have to be paid on a monthly basis, but it has to be paid, it accumulates over time. When you can actually make a payment, they will actually require that to come first. That probably would be the best option. Do your sponsor, preferred equity, and then debt.
And just for our audience, a REIT, what does it stand for, and how are they typically? How do you meet people that are in the REIT world?
Well, the first question was, what does a REIT stand for? It's Real Estate Investment Trust. It's basically a corporation where majority of their income is derived from real estate activities, and 95% of that income has to be dispersed to their shareholders. So the second question is, how do you reach them? Of course, you could start banging on doors in Wall Street. That's one good way of doing it. 2 is network. Believe it or not, the biggest network that I gained was through academics. When I through Georgetown, for example, a lot of my professors, my finance professors especially, they introduced me to some pretty heavy hitters in the Wall Street world. One of my finance professors was one of the directors for a hedge fund. So, it was easier for me to access that type of capital. But for people that are just starting off, it's going to be a little bit more harder, because now you have to show that one, you're well experienced, you have history behind you of successful projects, and basically start reaching out to creative lenders. And believe it or not, some of the lenders here, possibly, Bank of America, I'm pretty sure, has a commercial division that syndicates deals on behalf of a commercial developer. You know, hopefully that answered the question.
It does, and that really sheds some light here because oftentimes, you know, I meet developers in the city and they say, hey, I want to do a deal in the city. And the first question I ask, great, what's your track record? What have you done before? Because if you're asking us to be able to build this affordable housing unit or an apartment complex, how do I know that the HOA is not going to go defunct in 2 or 3 years and it becomes a crime-infested building and it puts a drain on the city now where police and fire have to be there every other week? And so one of the things that I always suggest is if you don't have the experience or the track record, why don't you partner up with somebody, joint venture, somebody that has a proven track record? You can learn on that. Maybe one of you could contribute the political access or the capital. Maybe another one has the design or the construction experience. You know, because oftentimes I've seen that. So that's one of the things that, and I think in the past you've done that before, right? You've done some opportunities where you partnered up with people that have a certain track record that could bring to the table.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll be honest with you. One of the architects that I work with, he's actually a fund manager. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have the experience that I have. But he also acts as my mentor and an advisor for a lot of the projects that I do. But also have the same type of mentorship or advisor role that I bring key players into my firm that could not only have the experience, but also the credibility to make sure the deal goes well, as well as being able to show strength in the development team. You know, that's another way to actually do it. Bring in the right people, either a JV scenario or bring them in as part of the company on the deal by deal basis.
David, I see you nodding your head, and we were talking about joint ventures and development. What's been your experience when you started? How did you get into the real estate world, development world?
I believe the first step would be the friends and families, and that's the best way to start, or partnering up with the more experienced developers. Use their track record to attract money, and then you can go to financial institutions and private money, and that's basically, there are a lot of money on the sideline right now waiting to enter this era, waiting to come to real estate development. And by approaching friends and families, that's the best way to start.
Thank you so much, David. Maritza, how was your experience getting started in the development world, and any joint ventures that you've done, or any pros and cons that you would suggest about that?
The first step is locating a good investment. Like you can actually, it's a profitable investment. And once you have a good investment, then it's easy to raise the capital. And yes, it is, you do have to have the track record, but I think it's very important that you believe in what you're doing and you have the passion. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing, nothing is going to happen. So that, to me, it has been easy, and we continue to grow because we know what we're doing. And obviously, when we don't know, we associate with people that they know what they're doing.
Now, that brings us into a different section here, the northeast part of LA. It's gentrification, I mean, in full force right now in the northeastern part of LA, where a lot of people, it's an attractive area because of close proximity to downtown Los Angeles. Property values are soaring in downtown LA right now. In the northeast part of Los Angeles, what would you say is the greatest or the most challenging thing right now in the northeast side of Los Angeles for somebody that's considering looking at that area for development opportunities?
I think there is a scarcity of land, and you just gotta be creative, do a lot of homework, work hard. There is a lot of opportunities, but you need to look for them and you gotta work hard. Like my team and I, we work at least 60 hours a week in order to find the deals. So you must be focused, you must be passionate, and committed to what you're doing. And I think one very important thing on anything, especially development or anything you do, is honoring your word. Doing what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, and keeping an open communication.
So as my dad used to say, del cielo nada te va a caer. Tienes que ir a buscarlo.
Exactly. It's not, this business is not for lazy people. It's for people who are committed and willing to work.
Thank you. Pavan, the millennials, fastest growing market right now. They're now at the point now where obviously we know all the stats. They're living at home longer. They're in debt galore. They're now getting to the point where they're starting to enter the market to buy homes now. The millennial mindset. What do they look for when it comes to housing, and how do you cater to it?
That's actually a very interesting question. One of the major things that I've been seeing from a market trend perspective is millennials want to live more in an urbanized area. And the key things that there's already signs in downtown LA on the type of developments that are coming in, even the surrounding area, the type of developments that are coming in. And what I mean by urban infill, it's more a building that have multiple layers, from retail to as well as multifamily, everything encompassed into one project. That's why you see a lot more large-scale mixed-use projects coming in to meet the demand of this market share. Because I forgot the number, how much it was. It was like almost 35-40%, right? So, I mean, that's a huge market that we need to tap into. And as a developer, I'm going to be honest with you, it's one of the things that we try to really find good projects, large scale, that we could actually present to our investors to go after to meet that demand.
So one of the things that Pavan touched upon is millennial, the mindset. You know, they want an experience. You know, everything they do is about consumer experience. They really have revolutionized the way millennials, how they look at things. And they'll pay for the experience. If you give them an opportunity to live in an environment where they feel they have everything, they will pay top dollar for that. Great. David.
Yes.
Financial underwriting, pro formas, something near and dear to every developer. You know, we live and breathe those pro formas, and we analyze them, and we look at ROIs, and we look at every other financial indicator or index when it comes to pro formas. What's been the most profitable real estate investment for you, and why was it? What did you feel you did right on that investment that was the most profitable?
I think everybody talks about their wins. So I made hundreds of thousands of dollars in 24 hours span, and I lost money in some other deals. Basically, as long as your win column exceed your loss column, that's all that matters.
So long as you have Haji Firuz on your side, a little bit of luck. He's Persian, so my wife is Persian, so that's why I saw that. Haji Firuz, they're very near and dear when it comes to springtime of the year. Maritza, when it comes to, you know, we're in an era right now where woman empowerment is front and center, and there is still a big gap when it comes to every dollar that a woman makes versus their counterparts of guys. And there's been improvement, but we still have many years to go, where I look forward to the day that women make the same dollar per dollar that a guy does. You're very involved in your community, and you give back so much to your community. How do you balance work and your balance, and also how to be a Latina leader in the community? There's a lot of things you're juggling at all times. How do you balance it all out? What would you tell working mothers out here today in the audience?
For me, the first thing is feeling good at what I'm doing, because my agenda is pretty busy. I have 5 amazing sons and a wonderful husband. He's sitting here.
¿Dónde está? A ver, que levante la mano.
Yeah,
Ahí
and my
está.
sons
Un
are there.
aplauso, por favor.
Yeah. So it's about planning. You know, you are proactive, you plan, you don't react, you just plan and execute. And you don't get distracted, because it's so easy to be distracted. It's like, I don't have Facebook or Instagram on my phone. I have a fan phone that I use whenever I had free time. So I think taking away your distractions, focusing and being committed to what you want to accomplish, not only for yourself, but for the community, for your family, to make a difference. And in regards to the pay, I believe that every woman can get paid even more than men, because, you know, we have the power. We just gotta work on our mindset, because as you notice, behind every successful man, there is an amazing group of women, starting with the mother. So we need to stop not believing in ourselves, believe in ourselves, and don't play small, play big, because the sky is the limit. So don't be afraid. It's normal to be afraid, but don't let that stop you, because the more joyful we are as businesswomen and real estate agents, the more we can make a difference.
Thank you for that. Very kind words. Maritza, she just touched upon the power of the mindset, you know, that adversity, and believing in yourself. And that leads us to the next question, to Pavan. The importance of who you surround yourself with. Obviously, you've assembled a team. I've met some of your team members. Quite impressive team that you have, that you build around yourself. When you look at real estate development deals, who are the key members of your development team?
Well, of course, myself. You know, that's one.
He approves that message.
But from the development standpoint, so the first person I always bring on board is an architect, based on the type of development that I'm going with. You always need a structural engineer and a civil engineer for a project. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, fire protection, as well as my head of construction. We all are a synchronized team to execute a deal. Okay, there's no such thing as a design as you go. Okay, it just doesn't work. You need to have a good team from the front, from the beginning, to actually be able to be successful, and be able to design on a timely manner. Two other key elements that I do have in my team is a financial and a market analyst. Both of them are highly important, because based on what you're designing, is it going to be financially and market feasibility? Is it there? If the answer is yes, then we could actually pull the trigger.
I've learned over the years that cheap becomes expensive.
Yes.
So those are the most painful lessons that I've had over my career in business. Do you hire architects or general contractors that you never worked with before, or that don't have a housing experience, whether it's multifamily or townhomes and so on? Or do you look for people that you're familiar with, that have experience? How do you go about selecting them when it comes to their track record?
Well, one, I'll tell you, it's not based on emotion. Two, the credibility and history is very important. My firm is a general construction firm, okay? So, but my experience was on single-family homes, garden-style apartments. I have never done any high-rise developments. But because I have the experience, I know where to look for. I bring in the right players to the team. If a GC is what I need, that have the experience in high-rise development, that's what I would bring. Actually, I'm talking to one of my a colleague of mine that basically travels the world, the U.S. Managing large construction projects. So especially right now, we're starting to look at more mid-rise developments on infill locations from downtown LA to downtown Long Beach, as well as I have a project right now that I'm working on in Brooklyn, New York. So, but I need those type of experienced individuals, so that way it doesn't, because without that experience, I'll be honest with you, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg, because it's going to be a huge learning experience at a loss of money.
Time is money, as we say in real estate development. David, that leads us into our next question, David. You've done work in Orange County, LA, early in the panel, and then even here today, we've heard about land. Very limited, right? Massive demand for housing. there's just no way we could build out of it with more land unless you go to the Inland Empire, right? And the jobs are here in Southern California. People continue to grow the population here in California. Where do you think are the best real estate opportunities in LA, and what do you look for, David?
You first have to identify the trend, where the market is going, and basically based on that, you determine your marketplace. Once you determine your marketplace, there are a lot of infill in Los Angeles. Together we can change the face of LA one door at a time. All these older homes, 100 years old home, we can turn them for better use. And that's I concentrate mostly in LA. And LA is my town.
David, can you speak a little briefly about infill development and TOD development? What's unique about those opportunities, and why do you choose that versus doing single-family tract homes in the IE or other areas?
We basically concentrated on multi-family dwellings, so 2 to 10 units, very small sector of market, not too large, not too big, not too small. And basically we concentrate in that market area. By infill is we take the property, demolish it, and take a better use based on the zoning exist on that property.
Thank you. So that was really important they touched upon. So one of the things you're seeing from Sacramento right now, imposing all these views and policies at every state level when it comes to housing, when it comes to second dwelling units, is the need to focus more in the infill market. So for those of you brokers out there today or real estate agents, should I go focus in the suburbs? Should I focus in the inner city? You're seeing more and more laws now geared towards how do you increase the density of housing in the community. So organizations like NAHREP, the Realtors Association, really important to continue to help shape legislation at the state level, and also what helps lead some of that. So Maritza, and that leads into my next question. You've done deals in the northeast side of LA, proximity to the 110 freeway, access to Pasadena, downtown LA. When you look at a deal and you're thinking from a marketing perspective, how do you market your sites once you already build them? Understanding the demand of the market today, how do you market your development sites?
We don't really market them so much. It's a great product, and people want to live there. So I think it's about delivering great quality. And for the agents in the room, is you have a seller help them make their house nicer, they'll get a better money, they'll appreciate you more, and they can buy a bigger property or buy an investment property. So when you have quality, the property sells by themselves.
Perfect, thank you so much. Pavan, leads us to the next question. General contractor, you have experience in that world. I once remember when I went to visit a general contractor, he invited me on his boat, and I get on the boat, and the boat's called change order. So that's when I realized I don't want to use this guy anymore. What type of contracts are there that you do, whether it's a lump sum, different type of contracts that a person should look for when they deal with a contractor, and what's your experience? What do you recommend? So if you're an investor, when you work with general contractors, what type of contracts have you used in the past, whether it's a lump sum, whether it's a on-need basis, and which type of contract do you recommend when dealing with general contractors?
Well, a fixed cost contract was always important because you basically tell the contractor that, hey, if you give me a bid for this price, basically that's the end. But some contractors will use cost plus. Basically, what that means, they'll do the work based on cost, and they'll charge you a profit on top of it, and they'll share all their invoices, everything like that. Both of them have its ups and downs. It really comes down to the size of project and basically the need for that type of contract. Personally, how we do it is we basically hire the right tradesmen to do the work. We don't need to necessarily hire a full GC to come in and handle it from end to end, because bigger developers tend to separate material and labor as much as possible. They have a purchasing side while they hire the tradesmen to do the actual work.
And do you always require payment and performance bonds or insurance from your contractors, or not always?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the reason is why?
There's a huge liability at stake on projects. The last thing you want to do is get stuck with taking care of mess that another contractor has done. So you kind of want to hold them responsible for the work that they do.
David, I see you nodding your head. Any input on that in dealing with contractors when it comes to payment performance bonds, change orders, or disputes that go on? Oftentimes happens in the industry.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to have the proper insurance, proper bonds under each property, each project. Otherwise, your profit will vanish in seconds.
There you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our panelist portion. Everything we're opening up, I think, for Q&A. Edwin, yes? We have time for 2 questions, so if anybody wants to.
Who has a question here? Anyone? All right, Monica. Hello.
Hi, Monica Rivera with Keller Williams. This question is for Pavan. We were talking the other day about one of the issues that we see, at least as agents and looking at investments, is deals that go on the market and are overpriced because an agent doesn't necessarily have the experience on how to analyze and price that. What are some of the biggest issues that you see, and what are some of the initial skill sets that somebody that's looking to get into investments and kind of starting out needs to know?
Well, having overpriced land deals are always a huge dilemma. And it's usually because agents are trying to upsell the seller to get the listing, with the hopes that, 1, it sells, or 2, that as time progresses, some buyer will come back and say, hey, it's not worth this, it's not worth X, it's worth Y. And hopefully they can negotiate the price down. I think that's a poor tactic. I think as an agent, we should be responsible to truly understand at least the basic elements of valuation. I remember the very first question we talked about conducting some preliminary due diligence, right? And I basically said, as a realtor, one of the first steps that we can do is go to the city, find out what you could actually build. What type of development constraints that the land have. Talk to your title company. Ask them to pull a title report, maybe a plotted easement, to see what type of easements are located on the property and how it constrains the development activities on it. There's a lot of things realtors can do without it costing any money. It just takes a little bit of time. Believe it or not, now you already know this information. Now you don't have to sit there try to upsell any project. You actually know the brass tacks of a deal.
Everybody, Jose Perez here, Lotus Group Real Estate. First of all, thank you guys for your time, and Fernando, great job doing your moderator. My question is, how do you guys work when it comes to realtors as far as deals that they bring you? Do you guys do like joint venture deals, or how exactly is it that a realtor can partner up with certain individuals like yourselves? No, you don't work with us?
Okay, I'll go with that one.
You could all answer it.
I think realtors are the most important part of our business. Is repeat properties, repeat referral is the most important part of our business. So we treat them with integrity. We give them part of the profit sometimes on a repeat business. We do a lot of, we help the realtors to become investors with mentor-mentee program. We bring them under our wings. We show them how to generate income, generate investment, money? How do you go about navigating through the city to get the permits, so on and so forth, the process of entitlement? So we do help and work partnership with closely with the realtors.
Okay, great. I think we have room for one more question. All the way in the back. Originally had two, but we're gonna go for three here. Introduce yourself and go ahead and ask that question.
Luis Carmona. Hey, Pavan. Marisa. My question right now is, the market's obviously hot. Are you feeling any signs that we're hitting a peak? Are you seeing deals being structured different? And number two, when a market is going towards the downside, what is your mindset around structuring deals in a downturn?
Hey, thank you, Luis. The first question regarding the shift, it's going to happen. We're due for it. Okay. The question is when, how much. None of us know. Okay. So one of the key elements that I've been noticing and paying close attention to is interest rates. You know, as interest rates grow, what happens to purchasing power? It goes down. So we already have major constraints of affordability in LA. You know, and if interest rates go high enough, the affordability basically, you know, only 9%, 5 to 10% will be able to afford housing. So what that's going to do is actually push down the price, and we're going to see it happening in the next couple of years. Maybe in the not in the next year or two, because two things happen on the political side. One, we had the Fed fund rates go up, although this recent one, they actually kept it the same. That means interest rates are going to still be safe. Two, the deregulation. I think that's going to have a huge impact on the market, on purchasing power, because banks are going to loosen up their guidelines. I see a problem with that, but that's truly another topic of discussion. So I think we're going to be safe for the next couple of years. I know on my side, I'm shifting my attention to a little bit more on the multifamily side than on the residential sales side, just because of what we are noticing on the market.
Also, pricing. When you buy in an investment and you overprice the resale value, pricing is one thing, and then timing. So you need to be careful with timing and pricing, because in the past we will price properties based on the appreciation, and I'm not seeing that appreciation anymore. So I think being realistic, having your foot on the ground, and doing your due diligence. You know, really, does that property worth that much? You know, and do you do your homework? Do you go by the comps? Do you preview the properties? Because a lot of times, you know, like you said, we want to get the listing, or you know, or we want to get that investment, and we keep pushing things that are unrealistic. So staying realistic based on data will keep you safe, and timing.
So you heard a lot about today, our speakers today. You know, one of the things that we always look for is the real estate development world. It's a fairly new market to minority communities, especially Latinos. You know, we didn't grow up being real estate developers. It's heavily dominated by the banking world, a lot of our Jewish friends and brothers in that industry. But the importance of NAHREP here today, I hope you guys could learn a couple things from this panel of really understanding what a developer looks for. How do you get in that industry? I know when I came out of college, I wanted to work for a developer. I had no clue. I had no family members that didn't even know how to knock on the door. I remember I sent about 100 resumes. One company called me back, and that one company gave me an opportunity, and that's all it takes. So it takes a lot here. I hope you really share the thoughts. And the work that NAHREP does, Edwin Acevedo and his wife, really, I mean, the amount of work they do to really put this together. Give them a big round of applause, please. So surround yourself with people that really have a proven track record, and people that really understand that at the end of the day, all you have is your word. When you walk out that door after you do that deal, is can you walk with your head up high? Because I always say truth always prevails. Edwin Acevedo, thank you so much.
Thank you, Fernando. How did everybody enjoy the panel? Good? Come on now. Well, on behalf of NAHREP Los Angeles Board, I'd like to thank our moderator, Fernando, and our panelists, Marisa Solis, Pavan Maddi, and David Mirafati, and present them with a certificate of appreciation. So thank you for all the support. Round of applause. Round of applause.